Welcome to my channel. This is a reading for Libra for April 2020, career and finance. I'll just quickly mention how I've laid out the cards just because sometimes I have cards that fall out in more of a cluster, and that's why there's so many more in the reading today. I'll just try to angle this around just to give you an idea of what you're looking at. So I am using a few different decks here. I won't go through all of them. I have posted some of the boxes as well. But anyway, I have the Angel Therapy cards from Doreen Virtue here, and that first card, as well as those surrounding the very back area, are all just general reading energy cards for the month of April, not specific to career and finance. So again, those are just the general energy cards all toward the back here for the month of April 2020 for Libra. All of the cards central are the ones that relate to the reading itself. So I have the main card, starting points, up there in the left corner, and then the clarifiers all fall in this range here. So they're all the ones below, and the final card clarified by the Fool. So I do have, as I said, a few different decks here, so I'll try to go through some of the, we'll start with the back cards just because I tend to forget those. So starting with the Doreen Virtue Angel Therapy card, it's about healing away addictions. So this card really speaks to addictions, not necessarily of substance abuse and so on, but I mean they really can speak to things that relate to blockages on a mental from a mental perspective. So I mean anything that deals with a lot of negative thinking, habitual patterns that you tend to do that aren't in your best interest, meaning they're destructive, or there's some kind of harmful effect down the road, or you're extremely dependent on it that it becomes almost critical to your day, and eventually those cumulative actions will amount to something, just to be aware of that. So anything that you do on a habitual basis eventually amounts to some kind of action taking place in the physical world. So the card itself says it's time to let go of behaviors that are blocking you from your heart's desire. So you're to ask Archangel Raphael to help you with this healing. So whatever that means to you in terms of finding a way to heal, whether it's prayer, whether it's surrounding yourself with white light, focusing on a candle and healing meditative energy, using a mantra word, whatever. But again, these are things just to take a look at, is some of the things that you do on a habitual basis that don't serve your longer range vision. And things around healing addictions, negative thinking, as well as substance abuse and so on. Of course, anything that's related to more substance abuse, and even with, heavy scarring patterns of, perpetual depression or negative thinking, definitely seek help where you can. I mean, professional help definitely is something that, would be a benefit to anybody, just to be able to overcome a hurdle and enjoy your life on a greater scale. So again, healing away addictions speaks to, letting go of things that block the things that you desire in life, things that you want to go forward with. Because if it's interfering with your health, your happiness, or your life purpose, these are wasting your time, and it's robbing you of the necessary energy that you need to go forward with confidence. Also, when you're blocked by negative patterns, you also prevent yourself from seeing things around you that you might otherwise see. So things like resources or support. So, you want to be able to look for ways that you have, that you're incrementally able to move forward at all times throughout the process of your life. And when we break it down into months, sometimes when you think of things on a month-to-month basis and you make a goal for that month to strive toward betterment, it's a little easier to see at the end of the month whether or not you accomplish that goal for, towards your success. Whatever the success is for relationships or for finances, whatever that might be to you. So again, it's just about letting go of addictive patterns, anything, that you can weigh the plus and the minuses out from this card here. you know, to help you move forward. So getting rid of destructive patterns, compulsive behaviors, toxic relationships, anything like unhealthy cravings, all of that falls into that category. And you, oftentimes when we have things that we might have habituated to, or addictions, or, you know, physical or of the mind, whatever, a lot of times we feel that in the body in some place. So be aware of where you're sensing it in your body, because that's areas where you're going to block up. Those are areas where you'll feel your tension. Those are areas where you will eventually start to see some level of debilitation or some kind of, you know, restriction. That's where your stress generally tends to wind up. So some people it's the stomach, some people it's migraines, whatever, something along that line. So another thing, just to quickly get past this card, but just to give you one more little thing, is, you know, again, in seeing what's attached to those addictive patterns, but also when you are thinking about things that are negative, or things that, you know, you're feeling pain or whatever, try to find anchor points, and anchor points being places in your mind that you can go to when you start to feel like to break that negative mindset, or that sense of every time you're feeling the pain, you know, you've got to somehow break the pattern so that you can actually go forward and find a resource or something to help you. But if you're stuck in that mindset, it's going to be difficult for you to do anything more than just dwell in that place for hours and hours and hours. So that's not you forwarding, getting momentum and finding a zest for life. So find anchor points, things like, you know, maybe you had a great time in a vacation spot, you know, or maybe you just like going down by the water, by the rocks, and listening to the water go over the rocks, and there's birds in the background, whatever it might be for you. But find anchor points, things that make you feel safe every time you go into those habituated patterns of pain, rather than let yourself suffer. Break that mold up and get past it on some incremental step. And again, professional help where warranted. So if you feel that you're really not able to move past it on your own, and it is something that you're suffering through on a day-to-day basis, it's chronic, it's acute, or, you know, long-standing, that's where you need to really get some intervention. But otherwise, if it's just small hurdles that you find you spend a little too much time on, try to meditate on it, get past it, break up your patterns, try to do things that are different than you normally would do, to be able to get past it. Okay, so moving on. Again, it sort of falls in line with the back cards there. Even, it seems like all of those cards actually are speaking to the same level of intention. So again, this is just general reading for Libra, April 2020, but these back cards all, to me, stand together. So the next card after Healing Away Addictions was number 12, Perspective. So the card Perspective says there's a better way, and, you know, to pause for reflection and insight and dare to be different. And a lot of times in changing our perspective, you know, when you can't accept, or when you feel you can't go forward, it's because you're limiting yourself on some level. You're not able to see how to get ahead. So in other words, if you can find a way to change your perspective, you also find a way to accept the situation and learn something from it, and you're no longer bound by it. Okay, so sorry about the camera movements. I am still struggling here with the video issues, and I will eventually get the hang of it. So again, with number 12, Perspective, you know, the card's basically saying, you know, the world is waiting for what you have to offer. So there is a better way. Your past is no longer working for you. So you have to pause, see what you're doing, and look at things from a different perspective. So you're allowing something to limit you. You need to take that time to reflect, even if it's just a temporary, you know, mindset. It's just a temporary time to stop, pause, reflect. But it is very important. It's necessary for your spiritual growth and your evolution to move forward. So the other thing is, you know, you might be doing a lot of selfless acts and helping people, you know, you're being kind and you're putting out good energy to the world, and things might seem a little thankless at this time. And for sure, the reward is really in just doing the act itself. But just try to shift your perspective around things like that. If you're beginning to feel a little bitter, or that you're not getting something back for the, people aren't recognizing your kindness or the good things that you do in the world, do it for you. If you feel that you are overextending and you're starting to feel the pressure of that, pull back. There's no reason why you need to continue to be self-sacrificing. So, but as well, again, don't let yourself get to that point. Change, shift, and always be true to your unique, your unique self. Whether that's an eclectic person where you've got some really unique ideas and you're a little non-traditional and you stand out in the crowd, you have to be true to you. So whatever that means to you. So number 5 is divine guidance, and that's at the very back. Divine guidance really speaks, this card anyway, speaks to just being able to walk your talk. So, the search for meaning to life and considering an alternative approach and surrounding yourself with wise teachers or friends. So it's really saying, you are being led, you are being divinely enlightened along this way. Things are being illuminated for you in the month of April. There's no need to be alone. You have amazing people around you, whether you see it or not. I suspect because a lot of these cards speak to relationships and relationship building, in the month of April, which I haven't gone through all of that with you, but in having glanced at some of this beforehand, before I'd started the video, it does speak to you, gaining strength from that support network. And again, I feel that a lot of these connections will be new connections. I think that you may still have a few old standing connections that you were intending to write off, but I have a feeling that something is going to happen in the month of April, that those connections will start to restore. The few connections that you were maybe let down with, and there's some conflict around, I have a feeling are going to be, something will move forward in that direction, so that there is some kind of restoration on some very significant relationships to you. But anyway, divine guidance is letting you know that you could gain some very great strength and support in the month of April, and to seek out those who are like-minded, who share your beliefs and your values and your ideals. Doesn't have to be right down the line, match for match, but I mean, there's absolutely no reason why, when you're looking for people that share similar mindsets, then you actually get a chance to expand on your own thought patterns about something. So if you were, for example, I'm just going to randomly say you're talking about philosophy, you might have had a limited perspective about a particular issue or philosopher, but in speaking with somebody else or joining a club or, one of the meetup groups or whatever it is, you start to expound on an idea, and all of a sudden, you've opened up another door, and you're, being led down another trail, another pathway to talk about something entirely different, but again, it's still along the vein of the philosophy. But anyway, just a random idea there. So seeking out those that are like-minded. But again, I feel this is going to be a month where you're starting to make new friends, people that are just a lot more like-minded, and try to find people that benefit from your insights and affection, or the things that you put out into the world, because there's no point in trying to force a circle into a square. If you're not being appreciated on the level that you are giving, then it's you trying to say, see my value, and really what is the point in that? If a person's not ready to accept what you are contributing, you don't really have any chance of getting through. So seek out those that are like-minded. Start to belong to some organizations and things that you feel connect to your purpose. You might even take a class on spirituality, because this is definitely along that line, all of this with tarot. So joining organization and things that have an aim that either do good in the world or serve the same life path that you're on. But be open to other people's ideas and perspectives. Don't be bound by don't be bound by their ideas and perspectives. Certainly try to find your own path, and actually question the things that are being presented. But just as an example as well, in terms of divine guidance here, something to think about is, if what you've been doing is a traditional approach and it doesn't seem to be moving you forward as you meet your challenges, something that you could consider is not going the traditional approach. Think outside the box and do, something in reverse of that. So, try the nonconformist approach. Same thing, if you're trying to reinvent the wheel and be too radical and non-traditional, and that's not moving you ahead, then try a more traditional approach. Don't try to box yourself in by having one way to approach something. So the next part here is the Two of Raphael, and the Two of Raphael, twos for sure speak to balance and things along that line. So twos and fours are, which you also have the Four of Raphael, are all along the same line about trying to seek balance. So with the Two of Raphael, it actually speaks to two hearts. So your hearts are dedicated to creating something wonderful. Kindred spirits, don't give up on those that you love. So it doesn't have to be a loving relationship in the traditional sense of, it could be a friendship, basically is what I'm trying to say here. A friendship could be a business relationship, and you're both trying to create something. You have your heart invested in, your passion's invested into something. So again, think a little more broad-minded. It's not necessarily just specific to a particular relationship. It can be, on all those other levels. But anything that is allowing you to create and come together, and that friendship, that bond is growing deeper. So as those bonds grow deeper, that becomes certainly a longer-term connection. And in this case, it feels like, April, you're actually basing that long-term relationship on more of a respect and understanding for one another. And it also feels that there's some kind of a forgiveness going on here. So again, maybe this has to do with family, maybe this has to do with business relationships again, or just the traditional relationship. But again, there's something to do with healing with this card that relates to forgiveness and healing those feelings. So there is some kind of reconciliation that's going on there with that card. So again, to me, the overall energy for April is definitely one of relationship building. But now is not the time to give up on those that you love, is the message of the card. And certainly any disagreements between people or groups will find a positive resolution. So, and just in glancing down here too, I also see that even though you've got cards here that speak to some kind of challenges coming through toward probably the middle of April, I would say, around some people, there's some conflicts, there's, even some kind of addictive negative thinking or whatever here. But lots of cards there that speak to those challenges even at the beginning, but they're all followed by it being resolved. They're all emotionally charged cards. So just wanted to give you a little insight on that. So Three of Michael follows, and that says release the past. You will grow from this situation. It's time to heal old wounds. So again, they're all really cards that speak to the same message. And that was the Three of Michael. So the Three of Michael is about kind of really the equivalent of, the Hanged Man in a lot of respects here, where you're changing your perspective. And again, that's the Hanged Man there. But the Three of Michael speaks to new perspectives, allowing you to view things in a different light. You're stronger for it. You'll grow from the situation. Release the past and anything that was disharmonious for you. And it's important to take that time to heal. So April really feels like more of a contemplative month. Forgiving those around you, for whatever choices or actions that they took that were unkind or in error, because time does heal wounds, so long as everybody is, considering, that who they were when they started out making that error or that decision, doesn't necessarily mean that's who they are, over time. So, again, just be open to that change. So also just wanted to bring to light the next two cards here relate to the accelerated motion over here, and then I've got the yin and the yang, and again that's twos and twos, 22 and 14. So there's a lot of twos, a lot about finding balance here, even with the two and four, accelerated motion. So carrying connections is number 14, and yin and the yang. So again, when we speak to accelerated motion, that card really is talking about things that are starting to rapidly take shape in the direction of your goals, hopes, and passions. So things around you are beginning to move into place. Luck is on your side. That's what this card speaks to. And that there's enthusiasm that's starting to build within you. because what you were manifesting in the prior months is actually beginning to take shape. So you're actually starting to see something, move incrementally toward, your fruition of your goal. So that's you. That's because of you and you taking the initiative in the earlier months and actually motivated. So again, even with the spiritual world, you take that divine information and you make it work for you by the divine points you in the direction of where you're supposed to head with the information, and then you have to use the information that you're being guided toward and take the practical steps to put it into motion and act and manifest it in the physical world. So anyway, so back to, again, number 8 was accelerated motion. It's about ideal conditions starting to create, that you've actually begun to create. Those ideal conditions. You now have some trust, and you have to really just go with the flow. You have to have a little bit of faith that there is a positive outcome and in your future that's coming with this card. 8s are definitely about overcoming those hurdles. So going back to our other cards here, actually, sorry, I'll stay on the other 2 here. The caring connection, number 14, and also the 22. So again, those cards are really about you finding balance and being able to move forward. The Sun card, like the caring connection card, of course, just in behind here. I didn't want to move too many cards here, but the caring connection card is about, usually it's between 2 people, but again, it could be more, but it's a beginning or a deepening of that kindred spirit, friendship, business partnership, or new love, whatever it is there. Again, all speaks to relationships, and its existing relationships may have become more intimate, more purposeful, a deeper bond, even a karmic connection. So, again, all relationship oriented here. It is also, you also have the Sun card below, which speaks to see the future that you want to create. This is a time of great creativity. You've got an important new project that's being birthed. This card even speaks to writing. It speaks to the publication of a book, the birth of a baby, a birth to a new you even. So it's time to put energy into expressing your truth as a vision. So you are on the right track here as well with the Angel of Love. Number 49, that card is also speaking to, more intimate connections with people and particular relationships that are important to you. And it could, again, be somebody that's already in your life. It could be a new person. But either way, first and foremost, always look to yourself to be tender and just showing compassion to yourself first, because if you're always going external for that, the gratification isn't there on the same scale, and it isn't lasting. It really has to come from within first. But it's certainly nice to have it mirrored back to you as well. But, again, coming from the inside out. So that card is, again, just about forging new connections. And also going to the Yin Yang card, number 22, that's a time for intuition. So, again, you've got divine guidance over here on the other side. And you also have number 22, Yin Yang. It's a time for intuition. It's a gestation of ideas. It's being more than acting. So it is more of you getting in touch with something, your inner happiness, your inner action, getting things ready to kind of put out there. So it is about things going below the surface anyway. So I'm going to shift this back again and just try to take you through the rest of the cards here. So again, most of the cards speak to relationships, but the actual reading that's speaking to career and finance, starting up here, the career and finance cards, again, there is some indicator that there's some emotional issues going on there as well. Speaking to the 5 of Pentacles, I mean, to start out, that's really where you are in your head. You're still feeling some sense of fear or some kind of wound or victim mentality, or you're still feeling some kind of hardship either way. So again, that's with the 5 of Pentacles here. You're still feeling like something is difficult for you, or that you're alone, or something is missing. So, I mean, it could feel that, that you're rejected, you're still out in the cold of sorts. But either way, it's some kind of wounding, some kind of victim mentality. You might even feel like you're in a place of soul searching a little bit here. but you're emotionally wounded. So again, it's about, feeling neglected on some level, neglecting your own needs. Maybe you're doing a little too much self-sacrificing and doing things for other people, but it's a sense that something's missing. However, it is followed by the Three of Cups. And the Three of Cups is speaking to teamwork and celebration and, things actually going, you have something to celebrate. So just because your mindset tells you that you feel a certain way doesn't mean that that's what is actually going on. That's just how you feel, that you're making it feel as though you're in that place, that mindset. But you actually are moving into a place where you have something to celebrate. So with the Three of Cups, that's an emotional situation right there. That's you putting trust in others. And again, with all those healing relationships, the cards at the back, that's exactly what I see. It's abundance, it's reunions, it's people from the past coming back. It speaks to, baby showers or victories in, maybe in business, or that you're well supported in those areas. So again, it's the promise of success, and that there is something, stronger bonds that you're able to forge ahead with people. There's more of a cohesiveness, and definitely a time to enjoy social networking. So you are sharing that community spirit and happy feelings, and there's definitely celebrations going on here. In terms of money, with the Knight of Pentacles does speak to the direction he's facing there, is moving into the future. So for sure, Knights are about news. It can indicate a person, could be yourself or someone around you as well. Again, that's a hardworking, responsible, determined person, somebody who's quite dedicated to getting things done. It's not somebody who generally starts off on a path just completely random. This is somebody who is, who's very methodical in the way they do things. So it is a slow moving energy with that Knight. So the Knight of Pentacles, as I said, is really one of, it speaks to it's a financial messenger of sorts, that money, a blessing of some sort materially is coming through, but it is a little slower moving. So maybe you know about this already coming through, it's just a little slow to get to you. So again, it's more of a traditional feel with that card. It is somebody who is, harnessing their own potential and creating their own success. Somebody who's, just really cautious and realistic and prudent, and doesn't jump ahead, is a realist, that kind of thing. So they could even be a little inflexible. And again, if you were talking about the energy of a person as well, in regards to that, that person would be a little on the unadventurous side, as I mentioned, but somebody who is cautious, might be afraid to take too much of a risk or a chance, but again, either way, it's somebody who's just a little bit reserved and definitely materially minded, though. So in terms of a career, it could be, I'm just going to throw out a few random things that it can be. It can speak to, somebody who's a farmer or a handyman, or somebody who's, working for the government, garbage collector, or something that is, very practical, hardworking, but, puts in the time and effort type of a position. So anyway, moving on, slow moving energy in terms of money coming through. And I do feel it's actually a little bit of both on that one. It does feel like it's an energy of a person, and certainly that the money is still coming through, because it is followed by, again, the King of Pentacles. And that definitely is, it's a good sign. I do feel that one is an energy of somebody coming in around you, but it is somebody who's already successful and has accomplished quite a bit. Somebody who's reliable and, is enjoying the success of his own life or her life. Somebody who is more of a business leader, somebody who, seeks to be ahead of things, ahead of the game. And somebody who's really quite responsible with the King of Pentacles here. So again, I feel that's an energy that's around you, and that this person is possibly giving you some advice, or somehow involved in, maybe even in relation to this money coming through. So, but somehow there's something to do with healing of those relationships, could even be in relation to this person here. Because it is coupled with something from the past, which relates to nostalgia. So the Six of Cups, again, emotions and nostalgia and things of the past. I think that this is a person from the past, this person in business. So there's something around that needs to be healed, and that there's some kind of resolution for. Following that is the Eight of Pentacles. So again, hardworking, somebody who is, staying on task, dedicated, repetitive, disciplined, paying attention to detail with this card. So you're not sitting back and trying to plan where you're headed with the finances. You've already gone past that stage, and you are now into the practical, and you are getting things done. So you could even speak to enjoying the employment that you're doing right now, but it's either way, it's about, reaching a certain level of proficiency here. So you're definitely developing a skill and already have some kind of skill set. And so you're honing that craft, you're widening your knowledge on it. You're adding some variety to it, but you're building it. So this is a time to work, not to play, for the month of April. But again, a lot of contemplative energies around April. So I feel that it's you're still doing your due diligence and getting the work done, but it feels like a lot of this is cerebral energy and healing. There's also, it's followed by the Five of Cups, and again, all emotional energies here. So something around that, something around the money is still coming through with you feeling a sense of loss or, victimization. So something may not be fully, resolved yet, or come up to give you a full indicator that it's coming, because it looks like something is still healing here. But with the Five of Cups, again, that speaks to, you feeling that you're maybe focusing too much on the negative. And I think that is actually a pretty good indicator that you are, because it's followed by the Three of Swords, which is conflict and difficulties, and I do believe it involves this Knight of Cups. But with the Five of Cups, again, that card can actually even speak to inheritance. So even though there is some kind of sadness around it, I do feel that because of something with the past here, with this person in business, maybe there is some kind of inheritance that's coming through with this card, but it may not be as much money as you had expected. So again, you could be feeling a little unloved with this card. You could be feeling that, there was some kind of disappointment. Maybe you're focusing on regrets, or, you're not embracing the change. You're just being a little too in your head here, because it's followed by the Nine of Pentacles. And the Nine of Pentacles is an indication that you definitely have some kind of freedom of finance coming through. So the Nine of Pentacles is about independence, and that is about, accomplishment and self-reliance, and, the mission's been completed, so it's financial security for sure. And with all of these cards of, dream, wish fulfillment, and happiness card, and the sun, things being illuminated for you, celebrations ahead, you being hardworking and steadfast with what you're doing. I mean, this is definitely a card that's speaking to some kind of job promotion, recognition, could be the inheritance coming through here, just not as much as you had expected. But again, it's all really positive energy coming through there. It's just you're just not getting maybe the full, it wasn't quite as you had imagined, that's all. So again, there's the Three of Swords, again, speaks to conflicts and difficulties. Swords are things that deal with the mind, so, I mean, it's just you in the head again here. It could speak to something involving jealousy as well, with maybe the Knight of Cups, but I feel that it's not really about jealousy. I actually think that there might have been some jealousy that played out earlier, in this situation, but I feel that because it's so closely tied to this young knight, and again, normally it may fall in the 20-30 range, but it doesn't mean that that's exactly the age of the person. It could just be speaking to somebody who is of a younger nature, younger mindset. So again, doesn't matter if it's male or female. The cards are just energy. So, but again, conflicts and difficulties with, I feel, someone who is of a younger mindset with the Knight of Cups. That there was some kind of hurt around that as well. Some kind of letdown or painful, situation, angry words, pent up emotions, some kind of fight or something that occurred there. But again, it's being healed. with the Nine of Cups, it is being healed. So, you know, you just have to be able to suffer through the setback, but know that there is, you know, there's light at the end of that tunnel. So something has helped you to reset, you know, your course on that. Because as I say, the Nine of Cups really speaks to wish fulfillment. It's a feeling of emotional satisfaction. I'm not thinking wish fulfillment in terms of, you know, you finally reached your goal. That's not what I feel with this card, because it's a clarifier for the Three of Swords. This is a card of telling you that, you know, you have some kind of satisfaction emotionally, that after some kind of, you know, difficulty with a younger person here. I actually do feel that it was a male energy, but there was some kind of conflict or difficulty or argument that went on there. And so with the Nine of Cups, there is some kind of victory there, that there is, you know, that message of count your blessings. You know, there is some kind of satisfaction emotionally, and that it was repaired. So whatever went on there has been repaired on some level. So again, moving past that, we are talking about the Page of Cups. And again, cups are all about emotions, but the pages are also about bringing in messages. So again, youthful energy. So there's a young person involved here somewhere. But this youthful energy, excuse me, speaks to trusting your intuition as well. So lots of intuitive cards here with the yin and the yang, you know, with the divine cards at the back, and as well with this card here. You know, the Page of Cups speaks to that you are getting creative beginnings and synchronicities, things starting to line up. It does speak to a studious child, you know, a studious kid as well. So somebody who is hardworking and a youthful energy, somebody who's quite sensitive, lighthearted, but, you know, they might be a little bit too much up in their head, because, you know, as I say, I mean, it's sort of tied in here with the Devil card. So again, Devil card doesn't necessarily mean you're dealing with, you know, harsh addictions or anything. I mean, although that could be a part of the picture, don't know for sure, but I would say that it definitely deals with, because this is, you know, intuition coming through at its strongest. I still feel very positive about it, but the Devil card does speak to, you know, heavy mindset, you know, heavy negative thinking, and, you know, a lot of extremes in behavior, things that aren't, you know, working in your favor or someone else's favor, which could be this child that's attached to everything so closely here. So there's some kind of addictive pattern there. Manipulation, somebody who's trying to control your reaction, too much negative thinking, anything along that line. Temptation, all of that goes with the Devil card. Childlike responses, somebody who's, you know, could be a little obsessed or feeling that they're in the dark. But again, it's about, you know, someone trying to over control, being too obsessed, too self-centered, could, you know, be speaking to greed. It could be speaking to just general discontent, someone trying to dominate the other. You know, as far as the energy of the card, as in terms of a person, it does represent a Capricorn, but again, it doesn't have to be. That's just so it doesn't have to be a Capricorn person per se, just someone that characterizes a lot of those limiting beliefs, or, you know, entrapment and jealousy and manipulation, things like that. But it's definitely someone who's in search of power, and again, this could be the case here with a younger person just trying to exercise their own level of freedom and sense of power. But the Eight of Cups tells you that you're getting away from all those problems, and so they're being resolved with this person, this young person. So the Eight of Cups is about, you know, eights are about overcoming obstacles, and of course there's more than one, I believe, here in this reading that I'd seen. I can't find the other one, but oh yeah, there we are, Eight of Pentacles. But the Eight of Cups, again, is overcoming obstacles, and it's about, you know, finding balance. You've got two fours, so again, it's starting out on a new route, you know, you're restoring balance, that kind of thing with the Eight. It's a journey of self-discovery, personal development, you know, and I think that that is really the journey of this young person here. I think that's involved, because it's just this whole little cluster of a younger person that's coming through, and lots of emotion around it. This person's finding their way. And this could even, just as a side note, I mean, this could involve something that deals with video creation as well. in terms of a career, but it's just as a side note. But again, all about personal development, that kind of thing. So going through some struggles about how to deal with, finding oneself. So again, I feel a younger person is involved here, as well as someone from the past at the top there as well that is a successful business person. But it's all about seeking balance and finding that new direction, and finding a position of power that everybody is happy with. So leaving the past behind, basically, with the Eight of Cups. So there's a victory here, and with the Six of Wands, the Six of Wands speaks to creativity and definitely, as I said, the victory, but it is also about having some kind of a talent here. So, because I mentioned before with the Eight of Pentacles that you were building on that, there is that victory about something being accomplished. You're finally getting some kind of, could even be an inheritance coming through on this card too. And again, it seems to be tied to that, because there's also, with the Five of Cups, inheritance coming through there, inheritance coming through there. In terms of money, it's also about recognition. It also speaks to good luck, good fortune coming your way, anything there with the Six of Cups. There's some kind of triumph, some kind of victory in terms of money that's coming through. So I do feel that there is some kind of award or something about being in the spotlight here. But I think it's more about money coming through versus spotlight, just because I don't see a lot of, star card and whatever surrounding it. So, but again, it can even speak to, somebody who's also a go-getter. But there's also a part here following, which is the Hanged Man, and that was about changing your perspective. So the Hanged Man is, is a time where you've actually had to pull back, much like the Hermit, which I see there as well. Because the Hermit card down below here also speaks to, pulling back and doing some introspection, soul search. It's the divine that's guiding you. That's what this light is here. The divine is guiding you. And sometimes it can be about plans being on hold, but I don't think so in this particular case. I think that really the Hermit is letting you know. And this also speaks to somebody who's a healer, somebody who can be, into the networking virtual world as well. And, anything that relates to even, palm reader or something even spiritual of that nature. But again, even religious, anything like that in terms of career. But I do feel that this is a time of, introversion and isolation. There was a victory because of this. These are all clarifier cards. So there was some kind of a victory that took place because of you pulling back, doing some soul searching, finding emotional fulfillment with the Ten of Cups here. And tens are about beginnings and endings, and, rebirth, ending of an old cycle and moving things into the new. So again, you've come through something emotional, and that was all toward, it looks like, the end of April here, with a challenging child of some sort or younger person. But again, there was a victory because you pulled back, you did some soul searching, you followed your inner light, your guidance on that, and it was important to pause and not react. Because again, changing your perspective mattered with the Hanged Man. That was where you were at a crossroads, and then you changed your perspective, you relinquished control, you didn't try to force your will, because there was obviously some kind of a struggle going on here with that domination and force of will. And, you gave up something, and you let go of that you released something emotionally, and that helped to overcome whatever the difficulty was, here with this child. So again, there was light at the end of the tunnel here, and sometimes again it's accepting the loss for the greater good. And the Sun is that period of illumination where you actually came through, and there was it's not a giving in, it's an acceptance. It's about finding, some level of communication here. And so good things are starting to come through because there was an open door versus, a forced situation there. It's about inspiration as well. It's about positive energy coming through. And again, good things coming through all around. Okay, so the next card here is Ten of Swords. And again, the Ten of Swords is a beginning and ending. So swords being of the mind, and tens beginnings and endings, end of a cycle. You're ready to start something entirely new. So there was an emotional challenge, as I said, with healing relationships is really what this whole area was about for the most part. Again, you're still working on money, and there is money still coming through, and I do feel it is something related to inheritance or something unexpected there that you just weren't expecting to hear about for the month of April, but it is something is coming through. And then, as I say, Ten of Swords is about that enlightenment. It's that turning point, after all this struggle and, healing of relationships, you've reached enlightenment. So, you're cutting through the illusions. You're letting go of those negative, toxic energies. And you are now setting out as the optimist. That is the clarifier for the Ten of Swords. The Fool is the optimist. You now have more of a positive frame of mind heading out of April. You're feeling enthusiastic and much more carefree. The heaviness that you experienced is no more. You're actually just able to go forward now. It's the beginning of a journey ahead. So again, we have lots of beginnings and endings throughout life, in different areas of our life, and it's a constant cycle. So just to let you know, in April, you have a lot of relationships to heal there. Sorry this went on for so long. I am known for being a little too run on, so I will try to shorten the next readings, but just wanted to get that out there. So again, this was a reading for April 2020, Libra, and it was career and finance, so definitely some money coming through, or that you're going to find out about now, and it's because of some kind of healed relationship, and a lot of healed relationships in this period here. So, and again, especially a very significant one with a young person down in this area toward the end of April. So be hopeful, be positive, and, stay in touch with yourself. That's the only way to get through. And until May, we'll talk to you then.